So I'm here with Ryan Curtis and Nikki Howard. Congratulations first. Great news. How does it feel like to actually be doing press for your film while you guys actually should be someplace off just enjoying your life and hard work together? Please, I mean, can you leave? You should leave right now, basically, I think. So,
I feel like we're doing that though by doing this interview.
We're living our best life right in this moment. Yeah, no, it's pretty awesome. It's really incredible. I feel so grateful to just be in this position. I literally left Deluxe yesterday, and what that is, it's the digital provider for the theatrical release. We did our quality control for the theatrical release, and I just like I was sitting there, I just had this wave of emotions kind of wash over me. It's like, oh, we did it. It's happening. It's really happening. So I'm very grateful just to be here, especially with her too, like, which is really awesome.
well, so I'm in my early 50s, and for years I would rail, I'm a cinephile, I would rail that there's not enough jazz in movies and there's not enough film noirs. So I love it. Ryan, what was the idea? Because we don't really see this at all in cinema. You could have easily followed the mainstreamer algorithm and make just sort of a popular story, but you wanted to make something singular. Where does that idea come from? And why did you got kind of the road less traveled there?
Yeah, it's one of those things is like, first and foremost, I'm such a huge fan of the noirs from the 40s and 50s. It's one of the things that really spoke to me early when I was really digging into cinema, and specifically Billy Wilder. And the things that I love about Billy Wilder are like he really just did those traditional noirs the best. And I loved everything he did. But on the flip side of that coin, he could do comedy too. And so I wanted to take like that inspiration of the things that I felt watching those old movies and then put a modern day spin on it. Because I feel like today it's just like we're missing original stories that speak to people in ways that like you have such rich characters in fun worlds that you can like just jump on board for the ride. And I think unless the movies are big giant superhero films and stuff like that, that just doesn't exist anymore. And it's something that I love, and so I wanted to create that. And because of what's happening in LA and Hollywood, we had strikes and COVID and all these things. It was really like just a love letter slash like it's so hard to get anything done in Los Angeles, specifically a movie. So it was like an allegory for how difficult Hollywood is itself. And then we were like, let's just build this movie and make it so rich with music. And so, yeah, it started just as like a little nugget of, how frustrated we were with Hollywood and the things that we love about Hollywood. And then it developed into this really fun movie.
Nikki, one of the things I love about film noirs is a lot of people who don't know much about film noirs, they'll say, okay, well, if it's a beautiful woman, she's going to be a femme fatale and it's a two-dimensional, alluring figure. But that's not really the case. The great thing about film noirs from the 40s and 50s is they really had multi-layered female characters. And
Yes.
that is your character in this movie. What was it like, first, to get this character and to build from that character, very unique character. And then also, since you basically, with what you do as an artist and storyteller, you're creating stories, it seems, every week. What did you see special about this project as well, as a storyteller yourself?
Well, it was so special for me, first and foremost, to get to work with Ryan and also all of our friends. It was such a family experience. Like there was just so much love on this set, and everybody was so supportive of choices, and it just felt like such a safe place to play, I guess. And the character themselves, I mean, my character she's such a badass. And like you're saying, it seems like a lot of the time, if aside from the noirs, which they had these badass characters for women, a lot of the times you don't really get that really. And so just to have this character who's got this grit, she doesn't care. She's just so authentically herself, but with secrets. It was just so much fun.
1 second, I apologize. I think I just,
there you
yeah,
go.
there you go. Thank you. Just,
Go
ahead.
No, it was just such a fun, it was so fun. And to be able to tell a bigger story, because I make smaller character sketches, but to have a character that is real and that so grounded and part of a bigger world is so much fun.
Yeah, one of the things Nick does really great is she just breathes comedy and layers into characters so naturally. And so, along with my co-writer, Christina Denton, our goal was to build really intriguing female characters that really drove the story. And Nikki really just grabbed at that and then put her own twist on it, and she's just phenomenal.
I think Nikki, the character is Harper Green. Is that correct? If I'm not mistaken. The thing, her character, I just don't want her to go into the fray. I want her to just stay in downtown where she works and just stay in her bungalow and just stay away from everybody. And she continues to go into danger. I guess drawing an analogy, both of you guys don't play it safe when it comes to your respective careers. Can you guys talk about the passion in not going the safe route and getting maybe a job that might have been safer and becoming artists respectively? When did that dream start for both of you, and how surprised are you guys at this part in your career as far as how each of you have evolved as artists?
Yeah, I think ignorance is bliss in the arts world, right? And so you have to ultimately believe that you can do the thing that you're trying to do. Otherwise, you'll go crazy. And from an early time, when I found my way to LA and to Hollywood specifically, I didn't know exactly what that meant and what I was trying to do, but I loved film and I love storytelling. And so I just came out here with a dream and like a drive to figure that out. And very quickly, I found directing kind of was the thing that satiated all of the storytelling inside of me. And then it was a 10+ year scratch and claw and dig just to try to get to this very moment of my first feature film and doing that. And it's hard. It is so difficult to get here because every movie is a miracle in itself, and especially independent cinema, because it's all self-perpetuated. I was the one to drive this to get this movie made, and then you start to pick up team members along the way with like David Meadows and Scott Adler and Justin Folger and Brian Elias and the producers. And then as that happens, we start to gain momentum and do that. But you know, it is a miracle that we got here, but you have to have that belief that you can do it. And so what I'm hoping is that this is a calling card for all of us, but for myself and Nikki and all of the people that are involved in the creators, because this is a big swing for us. We are really punching outside of our weight class to be like, hey, look at us, we can do it. And so we took risks storytelling. We took risks on the way that we did things because we want to be different. We want to stick out, but at the same time, like feel familiar. And so it's a fine line to walk. And so what we hope is people actually can kind of see that and grab onto it, and hopefully they like it.
Nikki,
But we're super proud of it.
Oh, sorry. Nikki, I just checked out your reels just came back from Europe. Really hilarious. I promise to never ever do that when I come back from Europe. You were just sort of shortchanging yourself in a playful way regarding sketches. You're coming up with ideas. It seems like every week. Where do you get your ideas come from, and how do you build it up? And is it a different way than what Ryan does as far as building out a team? Because it seems like what you do is almost as equally hard, because that's a lot of ideas you got to juggle with a team and whatnot. So
Yeah, it's a lot. But again, I've always wanted to storytell and do bigger projects, and comedy is my passion. And I remember moving to LA and getting auditions, and I wasn't getting auditions for comedy, and I was being told I don't look funny, which fair. So I said, well, what do I have to make it myself so I can show people that I can do this? And because I wasn't getting opportunities, or the few opportunities that were around they were getting, the Zoe Deschanel's are getting them, the people that are already established. So I have to figure out how to do this. So I just started creating, writing and directing and producing, and figuring it out along the way to be able to be in a position where I could be here right now and have the opportunity to do something bigger. But I'm an observational comic. I just find I've always had the ability to look at something that everybody else is looking at and go like, I don't think that's a little bit off. And when it's pointed out, everyone goes, oh, yeah, I do think that. But I just think humor is such an amazing way to bring people together, because that second that you get a laugh, there's a dopamine spike, and you have that opening of being able to permeate into somebody's thoughts and help them experience or see something different that they not normally wouldn't have. So it's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work, and I love it. It doesn't feel like work.
Ryan, you mentioned Billy Wilder earlier in the episode, and obviously I have to harken back to Sunset Boulevard. There's so many moments in Hollywood grit that we can talk about, but that would take a couple hours. But I would kind of to harken back to Sunset Boulevard. What was it like to actually direct Linda Pearl in a very show-stopping Norma Desmond-esque moment? She has a bunch of them, but there's a show-stopping situation that happens in the third act. What was it like on the day? And geez, as much as I grew up loving Linda Pearl, I had no idea that she sings the Great American Songbook. And I started after watching your movies, listening to her albums on Spotify. But what was it like for you as a filmmaker just to do that? That was awesome.
I mean, I'm literally getting goosebumps right now just thinking about that moment because she is such an amazing talent. And those moments in the third act is where she really wields her power as an actor, but also just really the portrayment that she does of this character, Eleanor Rhodes, is just phenomenal. And so I'm so blessed to have worked with her because she just brings so much nuance to the character itself, and both her and Patrick Duffy. And together, like you just understand why they were superstars in like truly their day, because the amount of talent that they have and who they are as humans are fantastic. But specifically towards the end of the movie, in that third act, she has this moment that starts as just classical. This is who she is and who she was to her core. And as she performs, she slowly breaks down and exposes herself in the rawness of that. And when we did it on the day, the whole cast and crew was there, circled around. And we had this beautiful set design, and she stood on stage and she did her thing, and you could hear a pin drop in that room. Everyone literally stopped and froze and just watched this wonderful, beautiful moment unfold. And it's something that I can't wait to see and feel in front of a live art audience, because it's very powerful, and her performance is just unreal.
On a smaller note, but just as beautiful, I think, regarding the nuance of the person who played the landlord. And I think what's great about the greatest of noirs is you can follow a story, but then there's sort of side subplots, and you go, "Whoa, I like the mystery, but I would rather just go here for a long time." Can you just talk about that? The person who played the landlady was
Anna.
Yeah,
landlord was amazing.
Yeah, Diana Jordan, and she has multiple sclerosis, right? Or MS. Is that right?
So
I think. Or muscular dystrophy. I think that's what it is. Sorry, I apologize if that's incorrect.
She's great in this.
We put a casting call out through our casting director, Dustin Blackburn, and we started getting submissions, and we just put it out as just a normal character and with no disabilities. And we got hundreds and hundreds of submissions back for this role, and started going through, and there's a lot of great reads, a lot of great things. And then I came across Diana, and something about her read stuck with me that I couldn't shake it. And it made me think about the role differently. And I loved that. And so I started showing to our producers and our production team. I was like, "What do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about this?" And then we're like, "Great." So we did a call back and talked to her and really had her do it again. And she just blew our socks off. And again, it just made us think differently about like the role. And so the thing that I really wanted to do was just bring her in as a normal human being that has to live her life and never really touch on it, but it's something that she struggles, is just part of her life. And it makes that character so much more interesting. And she just did a phenomenal job. And she did. And I'm excited for her to see it too.
One thing I'll tell people who watch Hollywood Grid after I recommend it is stay till the end credits. And I think what's very interesting is my main complaint regarding the end credits, you get to see some of the humor. I don't want to say just sort of a gallows humor, and I want more of Grit. And I asked Max, and he was talking about maybe possibly Miami Grit. So what is your personal take on that? And then also, because that gallows humor is really amazing, and I'm looking forward to kind of the humor that you and Nikki are going to do in your future projects together. Are both of you excited about continuing to collaborate in films and projects together? Because it's a very interesting take, I think, when you blend both of those types of humor together.
Yeah, I think for me, humor, I spent a lot of time in the military. I spent 8 years in the Army. And the way that we dealt with things that were very difficult was humor. And so the way we talk to each other is that gallows humor. And it really creates a bond in a relationship that I think helps you deal with things, but also allows you to laugh at life and the world. And so I like to take that into everything that I do, wrap everything in a little bit of dark comedy and gallows humor, just comedy in general, and then put them in real stakes. And so that's a basis for kind of everything. But to answer some parts of your other question is, yeah, we have so many ideas for this world, Miami Grit or whatever, that we just take grit on these journeys that are so much fun and amazing and really leaning to that comedy. And then we also we're in talks with a couple of things about potentially building a TV show around this world and the club itself. And so we hope we could, if those doors open, we think that it could be such a rich environment to like build around specifically Patrick and Linda and Grit. So, but yeah, I'll let you talk about the comedy working together because that's something.
Yeah, I think Ryan and I, we work so well together, and it's so much fun to be directed by him and to create stories together. I think we work really well together, if I do say so myself. But yeah, I think we're trying to develop a show together, and it's interesting, the new landscape of the way that media is consumed and entertainment is consumed right now. So just trying to explore a different way along with the more traditional way of filmmaking. But what does it look like if we create a 6-episode, 22-minute long series and put it on YouTube? And what does that look like? Is there a way to get this higher quality of entertainment that it's not really being made right now because people are kind of afraid to take new chances? And what if we just do it ourselves because we're scrappy like that and we don't want to wait?
Yeah. Final couple questions. Ryan, I think a lot of writers, they can spend their whole lives trying to finish a screenplay and maybe they don't. Maybe I'm looking at myself in the mirror right now and I don't like it. But so what would your advice be to writers of any age as far as the seeming mountain to climb in finishing one script? Is it just doing it or is it more layered from your POV?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's multifaceted, right? So I think the first step for me is always done is better than perfect. And so the biggest issue, like you're saying, is a lot of times is you can start something and just never finish it. And so you have to have the discipline to start something and then finish a draft. And then once you have a draft, then we have something that we can start working with. And what happens then is that you have that full scope and perspective of the screenplay itself. And then the real work starts to come in and you get to do the character development and the rewrites and add the layers and things. And listen, art is subjective and it's really hard to write. Writing's one of the most difficult things in the world, specifically screenplays. And so like you're never really done. You get to a point where you've just developed and go. But I would say that like finish a draft and then put it in your mind that you're going to do 3 to 5 rewrites on that thing and layer in each characters. And then once you do that and you get to a point that you're very confident in it, then have people read it, give you notes, do that thing. So, but like also just writing all of the time, it's repetitions. The more you write, the better you're going to get, just like anything. And so it really started to me like where it started to work and click for writing is that I made it a discipline that we were doing every day, that I was doing every day, or with my writing partner. And we just continually wrote scripts and turn these things out and you start to feel what works for you. And then eventually we started to get some really great responses on things. And then that's when we were able to really take it to the next level and get people behind scripts like Hollywood Grit so that we could actually make it.
Last 2 questions. First off, and this question, you guys can answer this as quickly as possible because this is a whole different podcast. But a year and a half ago, when I edited my podcast, I would just cut out the ums and uhs and the spaces. That would take me maybe 3 hours with me and my co-host. Then I'd transcribe it, maybe another couple hours. It's about 4 or 5 hours. And now I can use an AI software tool, 2 clicks, and all my stammering at the beginning of this question is gone. In the interview, it will be gone.
Yep.
And then also the transcription is gone within, as you guys know, as artists, within 20 seconds. Right. So I just save myself 4 to 5 hours. And I think for the grunt work, it's great. But then I also wonder when I'm transcribing for those 2 hours or editing, my creative mind or my head space and my mental health space possibly is in a different situation. And I'm wondering how each of you have implemented AI in your respective workflows or not, and your general thoughts on it. Because at one point, it's saving me a lot of time, but I'm also wondering, and I'm trying to figure out what gets lost in the process. And I wonder if you guys have any kind of handle on that.
You got
Oh, well, I totally, as someone who edits my own stuff, I'm like, it's so fantastic for so many things like that. I mean, it's just the amount of time saved. You can't explain it. I think there's I personally, the second the ChatGPT came out, I was like, write me something funny just to see if I was going to lose my job soon. It's not funny, which thank God. It just wants everything to have a happy ending, and it's not a person, and it doesn't have like the depth and experience that we have, which made me very happy. But it is an incredible writing tool. There are so many things that I will use it as a resource. For example, if I'm writing something and I want to know about a specific, I don't know, specific phrases or something like a specific practices that a group would do that I'm not necessarily familiar with because I'm not in that group, I can just ask it and it'll give me amazing prompts. Things like that as a writing tool, it's been so helpful and has saved so much time for me.
Yeah, I think I think people are really afraid of what is going to happen with AI, specifically in this creative side in Hollywood and just storytelling in general. But I think it's one of those things that's inevitable. And at this point, like the train has left the station. And so it's either you learn to use it as a tool or you get left behind. And so the benefits of it are, like you're saying, is like it's going to save you hours on the grunt work and the things that you had to do. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't still go through certain things and creatively use your own brain to like shift and formulate this story. And so for me it's let's figure out how to use it as the best tool possible, where it's not informing your creative, but it's being a great assistant and doing some of the work and gives you more time in the day to truly work on the creative. And if you can kind of hone it like that and capitalize on those things, then I think it's going to be really beneficial for you. And that's kind of how we're trying to do it.
Yeah. And final question is for each of you. Just right off the top of your head, can each of you name one of your all-time favorite movies? And what is it about this movie that resonates with you?
Billy Madison. It's so silly and the characters are fun and it's just so nostalgic for me. And I just think it's just such a fun movie and a great story and so silly.
Is that you as a kid watching Billy Madison and saying, okay, well, I think I can do that. And I think my humor sort of dovetails into that. Is that some of the things you were thinking about when you were first watching it?
My inspiration at first and foremost, Chris Rock. I remember being a kid. My mom didn't understand what children should be watching. And I watched his special and I was like, that is what I want to do, which is hilarious because we have nothing in common. But I was like, this is it. And that moment on. And then, of course, that movie I was like, I can tell stories and be silly. I'm going to do that.
Yeah, I think that it's really interesting because looking back, you don't realize as you're going through a lot of these things when you're growing up and stuff. But I think now we can kind of all agree that 90s was just a really amazing time for cinema. You kind of look at the 90s, you look at the 70s, things like that. But the 90s is where I came of age and was really consuming a lot of movies at the time. And so like I grew up on my comedy side, I loved Jim Carrey and like Ace Ventura and The Mask and all those things. And so those really had good fun and impact on me when I was young. But the movie that truly shook me to the core and made me look at it differently, look at the industry and be like, hey, that's interesting. Maybe there's something for me in the future, was Saving Private Ryan and Steven Spielberg. And that opening scene, I can still remember sitting in the theater as a teenager and being blown away. The realism and the way he changed the way action and war films were shot and the storytelling itself and just like the depth of the characters and their internal struggles and the absurdity of trying to find one Private Ryan in a giant war and losing guys along the way. It just, the way it captured and storytold it's still to me one of my favorite movies of all time. And not only did it affect me in the way of a storyteller and a filmmaker, but it also had a profound effect on the reason I joined the military itself. And so for twofold, I say Saving Private Ryan.
Thank you guys so much for your time. And very quickly, as I'm leaving, years ago, I interviewed director Robert Altman, and I asked him about this movie called Kansas City. And he said, yeah, that movie's so underrated because I love jazz so much. And so that movie was so personal to him. How personal was it for you to work with Nick Gomez? And then just, you're talking about building out your story. That must mean a lot to you because there are a few films that have that kind of music and that kind of close collaboration, I guess.
Yeah, music is I'm a musician myself. And so music is such an important part of storytelling to me. And so I build story around music and vice versa. And I use it as a tool to help inform and pull emotions, pull the emotional strings and kind of inform where the story's going. And so Nick and I have been friends for a very long time, and he's quite literally a musical genius. And he went to Berklee School of Music in Boston for saxophone. And so he is trained in classic jazz. And so that's his background. He plays saxophone, all the woodwinds, clarinet, flute, all of these things, like to a level that most people could only, dream of. And he's a world-class musician in his own right that way. And then because he's such a musical genius, like he's been scoring things for me since I started early. And he was just always so far ahead of where I was in my storytelling that he would just level up the things that we were doing. And so from early short films that I was doing to commercial work to any of these things as I was growing, Nick was always there side by side. And so the moment I had this script and this idea, I went to him immediately and said, here's what I'm thinking. Let's start thinking about music. Before I even had a draft of the script, we were thinking about music. And so this is his first feature film that he composed, and he absolutely knocked it out of the park. And I'm so proud of what he did. And not only did he compose the film, but he wrote 14 plus original songs. We used, I think, 10 with his co-songwriters, John, Gus, and Sarah Cardenas. And the music is just so phenomenal in this movie. And I'm so excited for that itself. And so we just released the first single, actually. And so the soundtrack is going to coming out, I think, on Friday. And yeah, I'm so proud of the music and the work that they did. And it means so much to have one of my best friends like come in and just knock it out of the park.
Ryan, great film. Thank you for your service. Very quickly, cut to Nikki. I have a movie project for you. Harper Green meets Columbo TV series. What do you think? Can you talk?
I'm down. Let's do it.
I was thinking. So
yeah, I love it. Let's talk about that after.
Congratulations on everything.
Thank you, Greg.
More movies from you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. For more movie and television reviews and interviews, please subscribe to my Deepest Dream channel. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And as always, thanks so much for your support. Take care.